玉好情况不妙，
糟了，要崩溃了！
就是现在！
吸收速度太快，会撑爆你的武魂的。你终于要跨出这一步了吗？
除非我死，绝不失败。无论如何，我都要坚持住。老师，为什么我感受不到它的存在了？死了，还是
The Unrivaled Tang Sect, Episode 161. Tang Ya is finally saved. After the Blue-Silver Emperor was brought back to the Tang Sect by Yuhao, the long-dormant Tang Ya finally welcomed her only hope of being reborn. The Blue-Silver Emperor released a gentle blue radiance to soothe Tang Ya's restless body and mind. Yuhao then circulated the mysterious heaven technique, channeling its power into the vines. The vines shattered into countless blue motes of light. Under the control of his immense spiritual power, the particles seeped into Tang Ya's body, awakening her long-withered blue-silver grass martial soul. However, an accident occurred midway through the treatment. Eager to seize her chance at a new life, Tang Ya became emotionally unstable, causing the energy within her body to spiral out of control. The rescue nearly failed. At the critical moment, the Blue-Silver Emperor intervened, stabilizing Tang Ya's internal aura with vines carrying her original bloodline power. A blue source light slowly illuminated Tang Ya's Dantian. Her long-slumbering martial soul fully revived, and fluctuations of soul power once again appeared within her body. The crisis was finally resolved. The Blue-Silver Emperor then revealed that Tang Ya possessed the bloodline of the Blue-Silver Emperor clan. Once she broke through rank 90, she could become a symbiotic soul spirit together with her. After settling everything, Yuhao entered secluded cultivation. At this point, he had remained at rank 89 for a long time. Both his spiritual power and foundation already satisfied the requirements to condense a second soul core. Yuhao resolved to cultivate using the yin-yang complementary path. Yet he also realized the hidden danger. If he established dual yin-yang soul cores in his forehead and Dantian, then when he attempted to break through to rank 99 as an ultimate duo, there would be no remaining location to condense a third soul core. For humans, soul cores could only be opened in 3 locations: the forehead chest and Dantian. A single mistake would permanently sever the path to godhood. Yuhao calculated that if he placed his second soul core in the Dantian, the yin and yang powers would completely occupy the meridians of his torso, leaving absolutely no room for a third soul core in the future. His cultivation would forever stop at title Duluo, and he would never inherit the position of the god of emotions. To preserve a future path toward rank 99, Ultimate Duluo Yuhao made a shocking decision. He would place the second soul core carrying his ultimate ice soul power inside his chest, while leaving the Dantian completely untouched for the future formation of a third soul core. His chest happened to be where the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion soul bone, his torso bone, was located, making it the perfect foundation for ultimate ice power. Yuhao called upon the Ice Empress, explaining his yin-yang complementary cultivation plan. The first soul core in his forehead would govern spiritual power. The second soul core in his chest would command soul power. The two would continuously circulate and merge, allowing every soul skill to possess both spiritual and soul power amplification simultaneously. The Ice Empress admitted that the method was unimaginably difficult, yet it represented the highest cultivation path among powerful soul beasts. Only the beast god Tian had ever succeeded. The Snow Empress had once attempted it herself, but severely damaged her origin and ultimately regressed into an embryo. Ironically, her failure now became Yuhao's most valuable reference. The Snow Empress explained the greatest obstacle. Separating yin and yang placed an almost destructive burden upon the physical body. Human bodies were far less resilient than those of dragon-type soul beasts. Even though Yuhao's spiritual power met the requirements, one slight mistake would completely destroy his origin. Nevertheless, Yuhao's determination never wavered. For the sake of protecting Shrek Academy and the Tang Sect, for the sake of reaching the Divine Realm, he chose to risk everything. The 6 soul spirits, the Snow Empress, the Ice Empress, Tian Meng, Iceworm, Octagonal, Mysterious Ice Grass, Ice Bear King, Xiaobai, and Mermaid Princess Leia gathered together, prepared to gamble all of their original power alongside him. The Snow Empress quickly assigned everyone's responsibilities. Mermaid Princess Liya, and Tian Iceworm, whose origin was most deeply fused with Yuhao, guarded his Sea of Spirit, stabilizing the spiritual soul core in his forehead while isolating the surrounding heaven and earth energy, preventing the soul core's instinctive backlash. The Ice Empress and Snow Empress, the two ultimate ice soul spirits, became the main force. Xiaobai protected Yuhao's physical body. Octagonal mysterious ice grass stabilized fluctuations in his soul power. The four remained stationed around the torso bone in his chest, undertaking the core task of condensing the new soul core. Since Tianmeng Iceworm's origin was deeply bound to Yuhao, he was specifically instructed not to exhaust himself excessively. To withstand the tremendous loss of life force during cultivation, Yuhao retrieved the Sword of Life, which contained boundless vitality. The cultivation chamber instantly filled with dense life energy, nourishing both his body and the spiritual consciousness of the 6 soul spirits. With every preparation complete, Yuhao sat cross-legged. His immense rank 89 ultimate ice soul power surged throughout his body. Following the plan, he began extracting more than 70% of the compressed soul power from the soul core in his forehead. At the same time, the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion soul bone emitted emerald light, absorbing enormous amounts of soul power and relieving the danger of his meridians bursting apart. Tianmeng Iceworm erected a spiritual barrier to isolate outside heaven and earth energy, preventing his soul power from naturally recovering. Liya firmly restrained the agitated spiritual soul core to stop it from exploding out of control. As more and more soul power was extracted, the forehead soul core produced an increasingly violent backlash. Its suction continuously battered the spiritual barrier, and Liya gradually struggled to hold on. Yuhao personally suppressed the berserk soul core. Taking advantage of the opportunity, the Snow Empress condensed a diamond-shaped ice crystal inside his dantian, forcefully drawing in the remaining ultimate ice soul power and compressing it a second time to lay the foundation for the second soul core in his chest. The cultivation entered its most dangerous stage. Hidden within the dantian as the diamond-shaped crystal, the Snow Empress willingly consumed her own spiritual consciousness, while absorbing enormous quantities of ultimate ice soul power. Together with the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion soul bone, she stored every last trace of soul power until Yuhao's body became completely drained and weak, without soul power to sustain it. The spiritual soul core in his forehead trembled violently and instinctively rejected the birth of another soul core. The Snow Empress warned him in advance. Whenever a new soul core was condensed, the existing one would instinctively regard it as an invader and launch a frenzied counterattack. Yuhao had to steady his mind and resist the backlash against his origin. Throughout the entire process, the 6 soul spirits faithfully carried out their assigned roles. The Snow Empress guided a strand of counterclockwise ultimate ice soul power upward from the dantian to his chest, forming a yin-yang opposition with the clockwise rotating spiritual soul core in his forehead. The Ice Empress activated the torso bone, releasing an emerald barrier that did not completely isolate the two energies. Instead, it slowly guided spiritual power to adapt to the ice power, preventing a catastrophic collision that would occur if they were entirely separated. Mermaid Princess Liya released soothing spiritual power, easing the agony and hallucinations inside Yuhao's Sea of Spirit. Ice Bear King Xiaobai protected every meridian and bone in his body, offsetting the tearing pain caused by the collision of the two energies. Outside, Tianmeng Iceworm maintained the protective barrier, blocking interference from the surrounding heaven and earth energy. Pain accumulated layer upon layer throughout the cultivation. The spiritual soul core repeatedly broke through its restraints, attacking the newborn ice power in Yuhao's chest. The Ice Empress allowed only tiny strands of spiritual power to merge with it, gradually transforming hostility into harmony. The Snow Empress slowly raised the diamond-shaped ice crystal, bringing it closer to the soul power in Yuhao's chest and accelerating the transfer of energy. The ice energy, initially only the size of a jujube pit, became increasingly condensed and radiant. The chest was densely packed with vital heart and lung meridians. As the two opposing forces continuously washed over the area, suffocating pressure and piercing pain spread throughout his entire body. An ordinary soul master would have collapsed long ago. Yet Yuhao relied on his unparalleled willpower, keeping his mind unwavering without the slightest hesitation. Just as Yuhao stood on the razor's edge between life and death and seclusion, An army of 600,000 troops from the Sun Moon Empire surrounded Shrek City, preparing for war. Inside the city, defensive preparations encountered enormous difficulties. Dean Xianliner anxiously sought out Shu Sanshi only to learn that, before entering seclusion, Yuhao had forgotten to release the 3 Soul Engineer legions hidden within the half-plane of the undead. A massive gap suddenly appeared in the city's defensive strength. Beibei had departed for the Star Luo Empire, while Tang Wuteng Wangdong had gone to contact the Douling Empire. Only Zhu Sanshi remained in the Tang sect to oversee the overall situation. Facing the dean's anger, Jiang Nanan stepped forward to mediate. She suggested checking on Yuhao's condition in seclusion first, before deciding whether to awaken him. With that, the group hurried toward the Tang sect's underground Soul Tool Hall. He, Kai Tu, following Xuan Zaiwen's orders, stood firmly guard at the entrance of the laboratory, strictly forbidding anyone from disturbing Yuhao. Dean Xianliner released Super Dalo-level spiritual power to investigate. Just a single trace of aura leaking from inside made her mind tremble. The soul power within the chamber was chaotic and violent, causing her to briefly think that Yuhao had suffered a cultivation deviation. Only after sensing more carefully did she suddenly realize what was happening. Yuhao was actually attempting to condense his second soul core. Moreover, his cultivation method was completely different from Zhuan Lao's, and its difficulty far surpassed that of an ordinary breakthrough. The fact that Yuhao possessed a spiritual soul core was a secret known by very few people in Shrek Academy. Only Zhuan Lao Xianliner and Yan Shaoji knew about it. After investigating the aura from his seclusion, Xianliner was shocked to discover that Yuhao was truly attempting to form his second soul core. Once he succeeded, he would become the first soul master to possess dual soul cores before reaching rank 90. In the future, breaking through to rank 98 as a Super Doluo would pose no obstacle to him. The only true challenge would be condensing a third soul core in the future to reach the level of Ultimate Doluo. Realizing how significant this breakthrough was for the Academy, Xianliner suppressed her anxiety over the army pressing down outside the city, and immediately set off to invite the experienced Xuan Lao to come and protect him. Outside the door, Shu Sanshi, Jiang Nanan, and Hakai Tu were filled with emotion. They were all disciples of the Tang sect, and after consuming the Xiankun fortune pill, their cultivation speed had far surpassed that of ordinary people. Yet the gap between them and Yuhao was still growing wider and wider. Everyone hoped that Yuhao would successfully break through. Once he joined forces with Tang Wutong, who was already a titled Duluo, their combined combat strength would be enough to rival or even surpass an ordinary Super Doluo. They would become Shrek's core trump card against the Sun Moon Empire. Wendell rushed over at full speed. Just from the chaotic yet resilient aura he instantly saw through Yuhao's path. Yuhao was not using the safer same position resonance method, but the unimaginably difficult yin-yang complementary cultivation method. Xuan Lao immediately sat cross-legged outside the door, vowing to guard him without moving even half a step away. Xuan Lao also understood the deeper reason why Yuhao had left the 3 Soul Engineer legions behind. It was not because he had forgotten them. Instead, he had done so to preserve their effective combat strength, preventing them from being forced to reinforce other nations later and wasting their power for nothing. He instructed Xianliner to return to the academy and oversee the defenses. He firmly believed that as long as Yuhao successfully broke through, all the current crises would be resolved. Zhuan Lao knew very clearly in his heart that the yin-yang complementary method was almost a forbidden zone for humans. Countless powerful experts had attempted it in the past, and all of them had failed. However, Yuhao possessed twin martial souls and top-tier spiritual power. If he could succeed, his future strength would be enough to rival beast god Tian. He would have the potential to rewrite the situation of the entire continent through his power alone. Inside the seclusion chamber, Yuhao was enduring torment that felt as though his heart and lungs were being torn apart. The ultimate ice soul power, rotating in reverse within his chest, continuously stimulated the spiritual soul core in his forehead. The two powers collided violently. His blood vessels kept rupturing, and the beads of blood seeping from his skin instantly froze into shards of ice. The temperature in the room plummeted to -100 degrees. The 6 soul spirits used all their strength to support him. Lia's song had grown hoarse, but she continued soothing his sea of spirit. The Ice Empress and Snow Empress stabilized the output of soul power. Xiaobai overdrawn his origin to protect Huo Yuhao's internal organs and meridians. However, Huo Yuhao's body was already on the verge of collapse. For the first time, his willpower began to waver. At the life-or-death moment when his body was about to be torn apart by the two opposing powers, pure golden dragon scale power of the radiant holy dragon surged out from Huo Yuhao's dantian. It quickly covered his entire body. The power repaired his damaged meridians and internal organs, greatly easing his agony. This power came from the dragon core gifted by Dragon Emperor Deluo Long Xiaoyao. Before his death, Muen had entrusted it to Long Xiaoyao, asking him to pass this trump card to Huo Yuhao at the proper moment. The Golden Tree of the Sea. God's Pavilion sensed that Huo Yuhao was in danger. It released a wisp of Muen's remaining golden divine soul, which turned into a stream of light and broke through the door entering the secret chamber. Muen's remnant soul appeared. His warm power soothed Huo Yuhao's agitated spiritual origin and stabilized the two soul core energies that were on the brink of going out of control. The instant Huo Yuhao saw his teacher, his emotions surged uncontrollably. His spiritual body bowed and knelt before him. Inside the secret chamber, Muen fully explained the origin of the dragon core to Huo Yuhao. This dragon core left behind by the White Dragon clan contained domineering power. Muen had nurtured it for 100 years, wearing away its hostility. Originally, he had intended to leave it to Bei. However, the enormous difficulty of using an ultimate martial soul to break through to ultimate Duoluo made him change his mind. He had predicted that when Huo Yuhao condensed his yin-yang complementary second soul core, his physical body would struggle to withstand the impact. Therefore, he entrusted Long Xiaoyao with the task of sending the dragon core into Huo Yuhao's body at the right moment. Previously, Long Xiaoyao had severely injured Huo Yuhao only to clear the impurities from his body. This allowed the dragon core's power to merge into his bloodline and temper his dragon-scale physique. Since Huo Yuhao had insisted on choosing the yin-yang complementary cultivation path that almost no human had ever successfully walked, Muen did not hesitate to use the last of his remaining spiritual consciousness to help him with all his strength. Under Muen's guidance, the restless golden power of the dragon core calmly fused into Huo Yuhao's meridians. Thick dragon scales covered his entire body, greatly reducing the tearing pain caused by the collision of the two opposing soul core powers. However, the spiritual soul core still continued madly attacking the ice-type soul core in his chest. At the critical moment, Muen exhausted the last of his origin. He transformed into a golden spiritual ocean, stabilizing the agitated soul core and clearing the greatest obstacle for Huo Yuhao. Once Huo Yuhao's situation had stabilized, Muen's remnant soul walked out of the secret chamber and bade farewell to Xuan Lao. Then he completely dissipated between heaven and earth. Xuan Lao was overwhelmed with grief, but he could only obey Muen's request and conceal the matter. Alone, he continued standing guard outside the door. Huo Yuhao's attempt to condense his yin-yang complementary second soul core had reached the true line between life and death. The spiritual power left behind by Muen was completely exhausted. After absorbing its nourishment, the spiritual soul core became even more violent, constantly attacking the newly formed ultimate ice energy cluster in Huo Yuhao's chest. The 6 soul spirits each fulfilled their duties, doing everything they could to support him. The Ice Empress stabilized the power of the torso bone. Xiaobai continuously reinforced Huo Yuhao's meridians and internal organs. Octagonal, mysterious ice grass released octagonal ice source condensation, endlessly drawing ice elements from heaven and earth and sending them to the Snow Empress. Mermaid Princess Li Ya remained on standby at all times, barely soothing the restless spiritual origin. At this moment, Huo Yuhao had no way to retreat. The ice energy in his chest already stored 30% of his soul power. Once it exploded, even his body, which had fused with the dragon core, would struggle to withstand it. At the critical moment, the Snow Empress resolutely sacrificed her own ice crystal. The ice crystal shattered, turning into countless strands of ice that wrapped around the ice. Energy cluster and frantically compressed the ultimate ice power. In just a few breaths, the energy cluster expanded tenfold, then suddenly contracted. A transparent deep blue shuttle-shaped soul core finally took form. The instant it formed, the violent spiritual power rushed straight toward the new soul core. However, it was completely frozen by the ultimate ice power. The Ice Empress Xiaobai and octagonal mysterious ice grass simultaneously poured their origin power into the soul core to strengthen it. The Snow Empress completed the sacrifice with the foundation of her own soul spirit. Yuhao instantly suffered the ultimate impact. His consciousness fell into blankness, and his aura completely vanished from the world, deep within the core region of the Star Dao Great Forest in the Lake of Life. Beast God. Tian was awakened by the abnormal fluctuation. Through the reverse scale he had placed on Yuhao, he had been monitoring him for a long time. But at this moment, not only could he no longer sense Yuhao, even his connection to his own reverse scale had been completely severed. Tian was filled with shock and suspicion. The reason he had kept Yuhao alive was to preserve the power of destiny left behind by the three-eyed golden lion, and protect the soul beasts of the Stardew Great Forest. At the same time, he was wary of Yuhao's overwhelming talent. If Yuhao became a god in the future, he might sever this opportunity entirely. Tian had previously acted to seal Yuhao's ability to communicate with the divine realm because he feared that the power of destiny would spiral out of control. Worried about the situation, Tian tore open space and rushed straight toward Shrek City. The moment he appeared high in the sky, all the detection soul tools in the city immediately locked onto him. 10 soul engineers rose into the air to intercept him, but Tian casually struck them down with his pressure alone, sending them falling and injuring them. The alarms throughout Shrek rang out loudly. Yan Shaoji led Xian Liner Tian Duo, and many other powerful experts into the sky to confront him. By now, Yan Shaoji was already a peak rank 97 Super Deluo. Thanks to the Qiankun fortune pill, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. He was now the Academy's strongest combat force after Xuan Lao. Facing everyone, Tian stated directly that he had no intention of interfering in the war between humans. He had come only to find the vanished Yuhao. He gazed into the distance at the million-strong army of the Sun-Moon Empire outside the city. He also sensed that this soul engineer army contained terrifying power, capable of threatening even him. Even so, his stance remained cold and indifferent. He had no intention of helping Shrek.